Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to be talking about the hot button subject of abortion. Now, let's be clear on something. Just because I'm an atheist and an anti-theist doesn't mean that I am in favor of abortion, but I'm not opposed to it myself. I think it's a personal choice. It's not a matter of one group being able to dictate to another what they can do. No. I am very opposed to tyranny. I am very opposed to anyone trying to dictate to someone else what they can do with their own body. The thing is, what it seems to me is the Christians, the religious specifically, want to be able to dictate what someone else does with their own body. And frankly, it's none of your fucking business. Keep your pointed fucking nose out of their life. It's not a matter of the world not having enough people. Because back when your bullshit Bible was written and this fantasy crap was dreamed up, the world was not near as populated as it is today. Some could use the term overpopulated. We are at 7 to 8 billion people, and rising. The numbers of abortions is on the decline. Now, one of the things I thought that was rather interesting is the statistics on the number of percentages that end in miscarriage. About 10 to 20% of known pregnancies end in miscarriage. More than 80% of those happen before 12 weeks. This doesn't include situations which you lose the fertilized egg before pregnancy even becomes established. Studies have found that 30 to 50% of fertilized eggs are lost during the process of implantation. So early that a woman goes on to have her period at about the expected time. Now that number varies depending on where you check. And all of the places that I quote will be in the description bar below for you to get more information on this subject than I'll be going into in this video. The thing is, that number of fertilized eggs that don't implant in the uterus could be as high as 80%. So as George Carlin put it, any woman that's had more than one period, according to you pro-life people, is a serial killer. It's horseshit. Because it's one I have a great deal of respect for George Carlin. And he pointed out a few things regarding this subject that are very good points, even though he was doing it for comedy's sake. His comedy still made some damn good points. Like when a couple is pregnant and they have 2 kids, they say, "We have 2 kids and 1 on the way." They don't say, "I have 3 kids." A census doesn't count a pregnant woman. Where he said, if a fertilized egg is a person, or an embryo is a person, why don't they count them on the census? That there's also the aspect of your birthday. My birthday, I'm not ashamed to admit, it's 12/5, December 5th, 1972. It's the day I was born. That is the day we recognize as my life began. We do not recognize the period of time that I was in the womb. It just doesn't have, we don't count it. It doesn't, in our society, it doesn't count. So for you religious that want to try and get things to where life begins at conception, then get society to change the date that is recognized socially as someone's birthday. I guarantee it won't happen. You would have people going, "What the fuck? They're not born. They're not alive when they're conceived. So what? The biological process is started. When they're born is when their life begins. Because there's also, I don't know the numbers on the number of children that are born with deformities just from, to use the term, screw-ups in the process of development. There's also things like Down syndrome that is an extra chromosome. And other deformities, mutations, so forth, that cause problems with the child, that they don't end up living very long, or if they do, the quality of life is not as good. I'm not never of someone, to use the term, you doing euthanasia to abort a child because it's going to be blind, or because it's going to be deaf, or because it's going to have Down syndrome. Those are separate issues, but I think ultimately it would come down to the parent's choice, that if they would know these things ahead of time and be able to say, okay, we will not have the means by which to really take care of a child of this nature, so in a sense it would be in the best interest of that child to say, let's abort the life now, or let's abort the pregnancy now, and not make them go through that. Because that's really what this comes down to, is Christians want to be able to dictate to others what choices they have, and to not only say that every fertilized egg has to be born, to go to that insane route, that there can't be any abortions. The thing is, what if that child turns out to be gay? Then you Christians are, then they're an abomination, then we have to just kill them. Or what if they turn out to be a doctor that wants to do abortions, or does? Well, then they have to die. Or what if they turn out to be an atheist? That they reject your bullshit. Then not only are you saying, well, they don't matter, but also being, also they're going to be tortured in an afterlife. Not only are we going to be up their ass and making their life a living fucking hell as much as we fucking can, we're going to want them to be tortured forever because they're not like us. This is all about serving your own egos. It's not about trying to protect life. Because, as Carlin put it, the sanctity of life, it's bullshit. You know why? We came up with it. The reason we came up with it is self-interest. We're alive. Dead people give less than a shit about the sanctity of life. It's obnoxious to try and act like life is sacred. Really? Why don't you religious people stop trying to kill each other in different wars over whose God exists and whose doesn't? And start showing a little bit of that love you want to talk about before you want to try and dictate the thoughts of others. A fetus is not alive. A fetus is developing. Life begins at birth. It's not about trying to say it begins at conception. And the religious are also, not all of them, but a lot of them, are also opposed to contraception. And they want to try and act like the choices should be either have a baby, can't use condoms, can't use birth control, can't do the abortion thing. You either don't have sex or you have a child. Bullshit. The world's overpopulated. There's too many people as it is. There's tons of children that are living in poverty. If a family already has 1 or 2 kids and they get pregnant, the wife gets pregnant and they say, we can't afford another. We're barely having enough money to pay for, support the family we have. We're not going to be irresponsible and bring another life into this, and knowing full well we're not going to be able to support them. We're not going to be able to give them the quality of life they deserve. So it's better for the welfare of the child to be the child to not there. The child doesn't exist yet. They are, in a sense, a potential. But to say we're not going to be having the funds to do it, then be responsible and say, okay, we're not going to have this child, and shit happens. It's not a matter of trying to act like you should be able to control and dictate the choices someone else makes. Because that's really what this comes down to. It's about Christians wanting to be able to dictate what others think, what others do, because it comes back to my anti-theism. That Christians are more, not all of you, but the vast majority that I deal with, it seems to me that you guys are more almost Nazi-like. That you want tyranny. You don't want freedom. You want to be able to have not just a dictatorship, but a dictatorship with you as the dictator. And that is bullshit. You don't have the right to try and dictate to others how they live, the choices they make. It simply doesn't work that way. If somebody wants to do something with their life, like me, smoking, you Christians have no right to say a damn word. It's my choice. It doesn't affect you. Basically, stay the fuck out of my life. It's my choice. It's the same with the aspect of abortion. It is still a woman's body. It is her choice. The fertilized egg or fetus or whatnot is not alive in the sense of what we consider alive to be. There is also the aspect of, and what's mentioned in another website is, what makes us so sure we know when life begins? Despite our best efforts, we do not even know really when human life ends, as the Terry Schiavo case reminds us. There are cases like Terry Schiavo where someone is considered brain dead, and their body, their biological body, is still alive. The body itself has not died. And it comes down to, are they alive? The brain is dead. And I contend, when the brain is dead, you're fucking dead. Because everything you perceive about reality, about life, comes from how the brain interprets the information that comes in. If the brain does not function or is not developed to where it can recognize, then, in a sense, life hasn't begun. Now, with a child, a fetus, not even a fetus, a newborn, is the brain developed? To a point, yes. However, the aspect of self-awareness, they don't have self-awareness as a newborn. The aspect of self-awareness doesn't come to about 2 or 3 years old. That is where you can put a mirror in front of a child, put a dot on their forehead, and the child will be able to recognize that the reflection they see in the mirror is themselves, and that the dot on their forehead is not on the mirror's forehead, but it's on theirs. This is something that has also been tested in primates. And the interesting thing about it is primates after a certain age can also recognize this. So it is not a matter of the self-awareness being just a human aspect. But this is all an aspect of what we would term life. Life is more than just cell division. What we constitute as life is the aspect of being human. Because it's like another aspect that could be brought into play is car accidents. Like yesterday, my girlfriend hit a dog. And the accidents, if you have an accident with a person, you have to, in a sense, report that and so forth right away. And not leave the scene and so forth. With an animal, be it a dog, a squirrel, any type of animal, you hit an animal, deer, whatnot, it's not reportable. You don't have to report that as an accident. You can to your insurance company if the damage to your vehicle is warranting that. But as far as the police are concerned, not reportable. And in that regard, a fetus or embryo, it's not alive in the sense of what we constitute life as being. So, in a sense, the abortion subject can also be termed a miscarriage, be it spontaneous or intentional. If the religious have a major problem with the word abortion, all right, let's go with intentional miscarriage. If they don't like the word abortion, we'll just get rid of it. You don't like that word, Christians, so we're going to do you a favor. We're getting rid of it. We're changing all abortions to being intentional or spontaneous miscarriages. Problem solved. No more abortions. They're miscarriages. There. Are you happy? There's no more abortions. There's miscarriages. Miscarriages happen. Some are intentional, some are spontaneous. Or is the real issue you want to have control? Let me know what you think. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. But congratulations, Christians. No more abortions. They're miscarriages. Later, people.